What's up, everyone? It's the real Fran. Today, I got something very special. We're gonna learn how to do CSGO Trade Up Contracts and make profit from them. Woo! And I'm not saying like, hey, let's do something crazy and cross our fingers. This is gonna be a way where odds are you're gonna make money. It's not guaranteed, but odds are you should be making money. This is gonna be a 3-part tutorial. I'm gonna make a part 1 talking about float values and how the actual trade up contracts work. If you don't know what a float value is, I'll explain in a second. Part 2, I'm going to show you quickly all the tools, all the Google plugins, all the websites that I use. You don't have to use all of them, but there are a few things you have to get. That's my phone. I'm very professional, as you can tell. Part 3, and then part 3, I'm going to show you how to actually trick the trade up contract to make it so that we have a much higher chance, and it should be over a 50% chance of making money. And we'll be able to, on average, make at least a small profit each time. Okay. I got notes. I'm professional. Okay. So, first off, why am I doing this? A lot of misinformation about trade up contracts, and it's a really cool and fun way to actually make money. It's a nice. I did it as a hobby. I did it for a month once. I made like $50 off of it. But unfortunately, there are just a lot of You try to go online and like on YouTube, and you see there's either going to be trade up contracts for like stuff that the average person can't afford, or there might just be a lot of wrong information. And there's plenty of faulty trade up contract tutorials and videos, and you have to be very careful to trust them, and you just want to make sure you know what you're doing before a YouTuber gets too excited to lose their money. And then some of them are just made up by assholes. You know how it is. Anyways, so excuse me, let me just get rid of some of these personal pages. Whoops. Anyways, so let's talk about float value. What's a float value? Well, so CSGO skins have conditions, right? Yeah, let me open up this one. CSGO skins have conditions, right? Now you might be thinking, yes, they have 5 conditions: battle scarred, well worn, field tested, been aware, and factory new. That's sort of true, but however, these indicators aren't actually the real, aren't actually what the actual condition of your weapon is. And you might be kind of confused because you're going to this CSGO game or maybe the Steam inventory, and all you see is this condition. There's no other numbers. But in reality, there's actually something called a float value. Now, a float value in computer science terms and programming is a variable, or just a number, I don't know, whatever, that's between 0 and 1. It's never actually going to be 0 and 1, but it's between them. So it could be like 0.89 and then like a bunch of other numbers, 0.12, whatever. It could be 0, a bunch of zeros and a 1, but it will never be a 0, and it could be a 0.9 repeating, but it will never be a 1. I don't know if it can be a 0.9 repeating, but it doesn't matter. Now, the float value is what your real skin condition is. And you might be asking, like, why are there these exterior conditions? Why don't I see a float value? It's because these float values are actually tied to exterior conditions, and you can see right here I'm hovering over, and I'll explain this website and how it all works in a sec, in the next part. I'm hovering over the USPS kill confirmed. Very good skin, worth a lot of money, $66 factory new according to the website. You'll notice though, underneath it says exterior factory new. There's a little bar there. This bar shows the float value range chart. What that means is that it shows you what condition your gun will be listed as depending on the float value. So if it's a 0.48, it's going to be battle scarred, and if it's, you know, so on and so on, you can see the ranges. So from 1 to 0.45, it's battle scarred. From 0.45 to 0.38, it's well worn. 3.8 to 0.15, it's field tested. 0.15 to 0.07, mineral wear, and 0.07 to 0.00, it's factory new. And you can see that factory new has the least range for normal skins, and that's why factory new is the most rare. It's the hardest to get. Battle scarred is the easiest to get because it can land on that range pretty evenly. So the conditions that take up the longer range are more likely to be on the gun. This being said, also you might be thinking, wow, but what's the difference between a field tested and one field tested and another? Isn't it just field tested? That's not necessarily true. If I open up the Huntsman collection, which is right here, you might know a little bit about this gun because this is the most popular gun. That's when you talk about float values, is the factory new Orion, or really the StatTrack factory new Orion, but it's the same thing. If you ever go on any video talking about the USPS Orion, you'll notice that even in factory new, you might hear something called a better float, which means the top part of the gun, the part that the bullets eject from, I don't know much about guns, will always be different. Depending on the float value, it's going to be more scratched up. That's because the lower the float value, the less wear and tear. So even if even if you have 2 factory new USPS Orions, you're going to still have a different the way the skin looks, just because there's going to be just because it's going to be different float values, and it's very hard to actually get identical float values because I think the number goes very far off to the right. It's very many places off to the right, and vice versa. Also, if you have a battle scarred skin, there's going to be huge differences between two different battle scarred skins. You'll notice, like, look at the Op Safari mesh. Some people like to have a fully battle scarred Op Safari mesh because it's almost all black. So once the skin peels away, it's black. But not all battle scarred Safari meshes look the same. You'll see because some will have a higher float, some will have a lower float. And that's actually why the Op Safari mesh in battle scarred is a lot more valuable because people like all the black on it. Alright, so that's what a float value is. You get a random float value. Depending on where the float value is, it's going to determine what the condition of the gun is listed. And for the most part, that's what, except for guns like USPS Orion and maybe really expensive guns like the the Dragon Lore, the price will pretty much be determined on the by the exterior condition, not by the float value, because one, the float value isn't regularly listed, and two, people don't really care that much. If you're gonna buy a dollar gun, they don't really care about the float value, as long as it just looks kind of okay. Now, what about the trade-up contract tutorial? Sorry, what about how does a trade-up contract work? Well, simply put, the trade-up contract, to do a trade-up contract, you have to put in 10 guns of the same condition, either non-stat track, all non-stat track, or stat track, and you'll get one gun of a higher condition, or sorry, rarity, from the collection you put in. So if you put in 10 blues, you'll get in one purple. If you put 10 stat track blues, you get a stat track purple. That being said, you can't put in a gun that doesn't have anything to trade up to. So if you look at the dust collection, for example, there are no pinks in the dust collection. So if I wanted to do a purple trade up contract, I could not use purple guns from the dust collection because there would be nothing to trade up to. I could use blues, but because they could trade up to these purples, but I cannot use purples. Also, one other thing you have to understand is how it picks the gun from the guns you put in. The best way to think about it is it's going to select one gun at random and then pick a gun at random out of that set. And it's completely 100% random. It doesn't matter what guns you put into it, it'll select one at random. It doesn't matter what guns or what the values of the guns are in the outcome, it'll select one completely at random. Excuse me. So this is an example, and I will do this trade up contract in the end, and I'm also going to talk to you how I did some good things about this trade-up contract and how I actually did some bad things about this trade-up contract. I wouldn't recommend this trade-up contract in particular, although the Gov case is a good place to do trade-up contracts. This is a good example. I just want to show you guys what's good, what's not good about it, and I'll talk about that in the third part. Let me just explain how it picks the gun up. So let's say I do this trade-up contract. It's going to select one of these 10 guns at random. It could select the Negev from the Breakout collection or any of the Glove collection guns. Once it selects one of those, it'll then select a gun randomly within that collection. So, for example, here I've got 1 out of the 10 guns is a Breakout gun, which means I have a 10% chance to get into that Breakout collection, and then 9 of the guns, of course, from the Glove collection, I have a 90% chance to get into that collection. Once it's in there, you then have an equal opportunity to get any of these guns. So, for example, I have a total of a 2.5% chance to get any of the Breakout collection guns, which is obviously what we don't want, and then I have once I get into this collection, it's an equal 1 out of 5 per gun. And you can simply do up the math. For some reason, the website doesn't always like to show you the actual percentages, like to show you percentage of getting into the contracts, but it doesn't matter. You can just simply figure it out. Anyways, that's how the trade-up contracts works. And in the third part, I'll show you how to trick it and how the float values are calculated. But the second part, what you'll probably watch right next, I'll explain what this website is, what all the websites and Google plugins I use. That'll be just about it. Alright, thank you.